Men and women alike are driven by a deep fear of losing something valuable, especially someone they desire. In the dating context, this fear can be subtly triggered through calculated rivalry, which ignites heightened attraction. Imagine being at a social gathering with a woman who interests you. Instead of focusing solely on her, you confidently engage with other attractive people, not flirtatiously enough to disrespect her, but enough to gently remind her of your social value. This nonchalant display of desirability evokes a subtle urgency in her, compelling her to invest more deeply in winning your attention. The point is not to make her jealous, but to highlight that your presence is desired and could easily be claimed by someone else. Historical figures like Benjamin Disraeli mastered this art. He subtly orchestrated rivalries among his admirers, making himself appear even more desirable. Women who sought his attention knew others were vying for it too, which intensified their pursuit. If what you've just absorbed resonated with you, if you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting, to stop guessing and start mastering, then don't let this be the end of your evolution. Take action now, like this content, to show you're serious about your growth. Leave a comment with your insights, your questions, or the moment that hit hardest. Subscribe so you never miss another strategy that sharpens your edge, and most importantly, share this with a man who needs it. A brother, a friend, someone stuck in confusion, frustration, or mediocrity. Be the spark that elevates him. This is more than dating advice. This is about power, purpose, presence, and we're just getting started. Join the movement and step fully into the life you were meant to lead. Ask ChatGPT. You can implement this today through strategic storytelling. Mentioning past experiences with desirable partners in a casual, humorous, or intriguing way creates an implicit sense of rivalry. Recounting these moments without arrogance activates her subconscious desire to stand out and earn your attention. You are signaling that your attention is rare and valuable, something she must work to secure. This is how social proof and scarcity quietly magnify attraction. Another potent strategy is the use of emotional contrasts. Machiavelli understood that while stability builds comfort, contrast creates desire. Predictability breeds boredom. Emotional ups and downs fuel passion. By oscillating between moments of warmth and distance, you keep her emotionally engaged. One evening, you may be intensely present, deeply listening, laughing, and sharing personal thoughts, making her feel profoundly understood. The next day, you become more reserved, still kind but less emotionally available. This subtle withdrawal doesn't create doubt but reinforces your value through contrast. Her desire intensifies because she craves the return of that emotional intensity. This dynamic resembles a psychological roller coaster. People are naturally addicted to contrast because the emotional highs feel more powerful after moments of distance. Alexander the Great exemplified this power through his dramatic emotional range, fierce in battle, yet deeply introspective in private. His unpredictability fascinated those around him, especially women, who were captivated by the duality of his persona. You can achieve a similar effect by alternating between intimacy and reflection. After a deeply connected night, become a bit less available the next day, not cold, just slightly harder to reach. That change alone keeps her thinking about you, craving the next high. The sixth and perhaps most psychologically compelling tactic is what could be called genuine deception. While Machiavelli is often reduced to manipulative scheming, a more nuanced reading reveals he valued the power of controlled authenticity. Casanova mastered this balance, open, emotionally engaging, yet mysterious. His lovers trusted his sincerity but never fully understood his intentions, which kept them endlessly curious. This duality, honest emotion paired with strategic concealment, creates deep attraction rooted in trust and fascination. In practice, this means revealing true thoughts or feelings, while keeping your deeper intentions, long-term goals, or emotional depth slightly out of reach. An example: after a meaningful conversation, you might say, "I don't usually share like this. It's strange how easily I talk with you." This statement feels vulnerable, but subtly suggests there's more beneath the surface, sparking a desire to uncover it. It's not manipulation, It's emotional truth layered with mystery. Complementing this is the tactic of strategic flattery and disqualification. Praise, when used alone, flatters but can become predictable. When paired with playful teasing or subtle challenge, it becomes exponentially more powerful. Machiavelli saw flattery as a tool to reinforce ego and trust, but warned that it must be accompanied by tension. Complimenting a woman on her intelligence or taste, then gently teasing her for being dramatic or overly confident in a fun, light tone, creates both validation and the urge to impress you more. She feels seen and admired, but knows she hasn't fully won you over. Historical seductresses like Madame de Pompadour used this tactic with Louis Roman, 15, lavishing him with praise but hinting he hadn't yet reached his full greatness. This drove him to continually seek her validation, deepening her influence. The key is balance. Your compliment must resonate sincerely, while your teasing feels playful rather than cutting. Tell her she has a captivating laugh, then joke, but you definitely know it, don't you? This mix of admiration and challenge sparks dynamic engagement and emotional tension. These techniques are not about deception or manipulation for selfish gain. They are about amplifying your existing strengths, wielding influence responsibly, and building authentic, magnetic connections. Machiavellian dating mastery is not a disguise. It's a strategy for unleashing the most compelling version of yourself. It means understanding the deeper forces that govern desire, scarcity, tension, mystery, and emotional stimulation, and using them thoughtfully and ethically. Mastery demands action, not just understanding. Begin incorporating these tactics into your interactions gradually. Observe how they shift the dynamic, how people respond, and how your confidence evolves. These tools are powerful because they reflect real, primal elements of human psychology. When used with care and authenticity, they transform the dating experience into something not only successful, but deeply engaging for both people involved. Remember, influence without integrity is manipulation, but influence paired with authenticity becomes magnetic power. As you continue to apply these psychological strategies, a deeper transformation begins to unfold, not just in how women respond to you, but in how you see yourself. You begin to internalize your value. No longer do you chase approval. You create an emotional environment where others naturally seek yours. This is the essence of quiet dominance, not loud, not arrogant, but unmistakably powerful. When you combine selective absence with calculated rivalry, emotional contrast with strategic flattery, and genuine vulnerability with reserved mystery, you create a multidimensional presence that is deeply compelling. Most men operate on one emotional level, remaining consistently available, predictable, or overly transparent. This flatness diminishes intrigue, but when you offer emotional texture, unfolding layers slowly, revealing warmth and pullback, sincerity and challenge, you become unforgettable. Over time, she begins to associate you with emotional stimulation, intensity, and self-discovery. You become the exception to the rule. Where others become routine, you become an experience. This isn't by accident, it's by calculated design. You're not seeking to play games. Rather, you're presenting yourself as a man of substance, self-possession, and emotional intelligence. Someone who understands the unspoken language of desire. You've become the prize. This dynamic extends beyond seduction. When people begin to perceive you as someone whose attention, affection, and presence must be earned, your entire social value increases. You become a gravitational force respected by men, desired by women, and internally aligned with your purpose. The key here is subtlety. None of these strategies require brash declarations or forced performances. The power lies in finesse, the quiet confidence of someone who knows his worth and has no urgency to prove it. This is what separates ordinary charm from true magnetism. When you speak, people lean in not just because of what you say, but because of what you withhold. When you listen, people open up not because you're trying to impress them, but because your presence makes them feel seen. You master influence not by controlling others, but by mastering yourself, And within that mastery, something rare happens. Women feel both safe and excited around you. That contrasts security with unpredictability is intoxicating. At this stage, women begin to intuitively sense that you're different. Your confidence doesn't come from neediness or bravado. It comes from depth. You don't chase, you invite. You don't demand attention, you command it. This is the result of embodying every Machiavellian principle in its highest form, not as manipulation, but as precision. You become the emotional center of her experience, a man who stirs her thoughts when you're gone and captivates her fully when you're present. But remember, refinement is everything. These tools require subtle calibration. Overuse can make you seem distant. Underuse can make you seem ordinary. The real power lies in your ability to adjust moment by moment, to sense her energy, to mirror and contrast it, to challenge and comfort her, sometimes in the same sentence. This emotional agility is rare, but it's what makes you magnetic. You're not just learning how to attract, you're learning how to lead the dance of desire with elegance and certainty. Continue sharpening these skills in daily life. Practice awareness in conversations. Tune into micro-reactions. Test boundaries with tact. Observe how even small changes in tone, timing, and presence dramatically shift how people respond to you. This is the training ground for deeper mastery. Over time, you'll stop thinking about tactics and begin living them. They'll become second nature, not because you're performing, but because they've become expressions of your highest self. In the end, true attraction isn't about perfection, it's about perception. And perception is shaped by contrast, scarcity, subtlety, and emotional resonance. When you align your behavior with these principles, you don't just attract attention, you captivate it. You enter the realm of high-level seduction, where desire is sustained, curiosity is constant, and connection is unforgettable. This is what it means to be truly Machiavellian in dating. Not manipulative, but masterful. Not deceptive, but deliberate. And most importantly, always authentic. As you refine this mastery further, you'll begin to notice how subtle shifts in your demeanor can completely recalibrate the emotional atmosphere of any interaction. A slightly delayed response, a pause before you speak, a knowing smile instead of immediate affirmation. These minor acts carry massive psychological weight. They create space for her to wonder, to invest, to pursue. Most men rush to fill every silence, to provide constant validation, to remove all ambiguity. But mystery is magnetic. When you withhold just enough without being evasive, you stir something deeper, the urge to decode you, to win you, to matter to you. This emotional economy, where your presence feels like both a reward and a challenge, turns ordinary conversations into emotionally charged experiences. You're no longer simply a man she's talking to. You're a puzzle, a narrative, a presence that lingers in her mind well after the interaction ends. That's the power of contrast, and it's not just emotional contrast, it's behavioral contrast. You surprise her with moments of sincerity she didn't expect. You step back when she expects you to chase. You praise when it's least anticipated, and you challenge when she's most comfortable. This unpredictability creates tension, and tension sustains desire. With time, she'll find herself emotionally attuned to your rhythms. She'll notice your absence more than your presence. She'll read into your words, search for meaning between the lines, and crave the return of your full attention. And that craving is not rooted in superficial charm. It's a response to how deeply you've engaged her emotions. Not by overwhelming her, but by stimulating her curiosity, her ego, her competitive instincts, and her desire for emotional meaning, all at once. At this level, seduction becomes less about tactics and more about embodiment. You're no longer using strategies. You are the strategy. Your behaviors, your silences, your choices all reflect an internal clarity. You are the prize, and your value is not dependent on external validation. You don't try to be desired, you assume desire. That quiet inner knowing radiates in every interaction. Even when you're not overtly pursuing, your presence creates pressure. Not aggressive pressure, but psychological gravity. The sense that being close to you means something, that your interest when given is rare, that your attention when focused is powerful. This creates emotional scarcity, and scarcity always increases perceived value. Especially in the dating dynamic, where many men offer too much, too soon, too often. This reserved intensity makes you stand out. It makes her chase, if not overtly, then emotionally, internally. And when she begins to chase, when she starts to subtly seek your attention, your praise, your affection, that's when you truly shift the dynamic. You've moved from reactive to directive, from competitor to conductor. She's not just spending time with you. She's invested. This investment grows stronger with each emotional contrast, each calculated absence, each revealing, yet guarded moment. And once she's emotionally invested, her desire becomes sustained, not fleeting, not based on circumstance, but enduring. This is where the real art begins, the art of deep connection on your terms, the art of creating not just desire, but devotion. You do this not by force or facade, but through disciplined authenticity. You're honest but not exposed, warm but not needy, confident but not boastful, and always slightly out of reach until she earns more. This balance is the essence of Machiavellian attraction, not manipulation, but magnetism born from mastery of self and understanding of others. And as this way of being becomes habitual, it doesn't just change your romantic life. It transforms how you operate everywhere. You become more composed in business, more commanding in conversation, more emotionally agile in high-stakes situations. Because at the core of it all is a simple truth. Those who control the emotional tempo of an interaction control the outcome. That's what you're mastering now, the ability to guide, to influence, to captivate not through force, but through finely tuned psychological presence. Keep going, keep refining, because once you fully integrate this level of understanding, you're no longer just participating in the dating game, you're rewriting the rules. By now, you've journeyed deep into the psychological architecture of high-level attraction. You've uncovered not just tricks or superficial tactics, but timeless truths about human behavior, how desire forms, how influence works, and how power silently shifts in every interaction. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about uncovering the most compelling, strategic version of who you already are, and sharpening that version into something unforgettable. Real mastery in the dating game doesn't come from chasing. It comes from creating gravity, from becoming so self-possessed, so emotionally intelligent, and so subtly unpredictable that others feel drawn to you without fully understanding why. That pull, that tension between closeness and distance, clarity and mystery, is what separates the forgettable from the magnetic. But with power comes responsibility. These tools, when used with awareness and integrity, can elevate not just your romantic life, but your overall presence in the world. Used carelessly, they can corrode trust and connection. The true Machiavellian doesn't abuse influence, he wields it with restraint. He never forgets that seduction is not conquest, but connection with purpose. So take what you've learned here and apply it with precision. Watch how your energy changes, how your interactions shift, how people begin to respond to you not just with attraction, but with anticipation. That's when you'll know you're no longer playing the game. You've become the force that defines it. Now step forward not as just another man trying to impress, but as the one who cannot be ignored.